Oh, hey, we're back in it.
We are.
How are you doing, everyone?
I'm doing all right.
Sorry if my voice is a bit off today. I might be getting down with something, but we're going to power through.
Maho, I'm so glad you're safe.
Watch me absolutely not be able to do Maho voice. When she arrived in their office in Wako City, Dr. Leskinen was already there. He came over and gave her a big hug.
Professor, you're hurting me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, this black tea is not brewed at all. Whatever, we're going to worry about that later. She'd heard that the office had been ransacked, but whatever had happened had already been cleaned up. Office was right, they ransacked Tier 2 because they were trying to... Right, they were tracking down Kurisu's belongings.
Yeah.
Didn't that go differently in the anime?
I don't recall.
I felt like in the anime, they were kind of stuck in the alleyway after leaving Daru's place, and the laptop got shot in the crossfire.
I don't recall.
I think, I could just be misremembering things.
Did you clean up, Professor?
It was ransacked, but only your and my things were here, so there wasn't a lot to begin with. I've left the rest in the hands of the police.
2 days had passed since the office had been ransacked. Maho had spent both of them at Ferris's home, and only today she had gotten in touch with Dr. Leskinen and gone to Wako City to get her things. They were both going back tomorrow, just as planned. That meant they were saying goodbye to this office.
You still haven't caught the guy who did it, right?
Yeah. It's been one thing after another since we came to Japan, hasn't it?
It sure has.
The two of them looked around the empty office. It had been a busy 2 months.
So, what did you think, Maho? Japan's your other homeland, right? What did you make of it?
Can't wait to get back and start on my research. Feel like I've been doing nothing but putting reports together for the past 2 months.
You're so serious, Maho.
That, and I'm glad I was able to experience the place where Kurisu spent her last days.
Maho.
But she still hadn't figured out why Kurisu had died. Actually, she had even more questions now. It bothered her to go home with so many questions left unanswered. Only Rintaro had told her everything he knew.
Come to think of it.
Thought suddenly occurred to Maho.
What are we doing with Amadeus' tester?
Of course she meant Rintaro Okabe. If both Maho and Leskinen were heading back to America, that meant his time as a tester was over.
That's right.
For some reason, the professor was taking a moment to think it over. She wondered what there was to think about.
Why not have him continue being our tester?
What? Are you serious?
It's a fact that speaking with Rintaro has caused Kurisu to react in new ways, correct? And I'm planning on adding additional testers in the future, not just him.
Oh, is that safe from a security standpoint? Japan and America are too far apart. I mean, if something happens, we won't be able to deal with it.
It'll be fine. I believe in Rintaro.
Is it really that bad? Because he's not actually... It's not like there's an Amadeus program on his phone. It needs a supercomputer to run.
Yeah, presumably
right?
You would just...
It's just like
fucking...
a secure access to the thing that's still... So is there any more risk than there currently is?
I mean, maybe someone... In the sense that someone steals the phone and
okay, yeah. And they're not physically here to help recover it.
Yeah,
I guess.
Even then, just like
that's
fucking block the device.
Right. That feels like an acceptable level of risk. Like, at least as acceptable as the amount of risk they've taken by letting Okabe use it until now.
Plus,
and if they're opening it up to new testers, then that's only going to be multiplied, right?
Plus, it's not like it's just some program full of secure data and anyone with the phone can get access to it. The secure data is a person, and if someone steals the phone and is like,
Kurisu
hey, tell me all
won't
your
talk to them.
secrets, she will say, no.
Right, exactly. Like they've got, like, I'm sure there's stuff that could be learned by you having that secure connection, but that's already the risk that, I don't think he's wrong here.
It's not about whether you believe in him or not.
If he stays on as a tester, you'll still be able to talk to him, you know.
Can I ask you something? Why does everyone ship the two of us? No, I'm honestly asking this. What is it about him, and what is it about him that makes both you and Kurisu think that we're a couple? Or even couple material?
And why doesn't anyone seem to ship Maho and Kurisu on AO3?
I actually, you know what? I wonder if it is just... Because, like, clearly Maho cares for Kurisu. I wonder if some of it is just that there's just that awkward age gap. Well, no, because
Probably.
Okabe and Kurisu are the same age. Yeah, fucking I don't know.
I don't have anything to do with this.
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure.
Confession time. My favorite Steins Gate fanfiction is a Maho and Okabe fanfic.
Really?
I think I've sent it to you because you asked me for ones at some point.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to try to bother you about that again.
Then I'll take over dealing with Rintaro.
That doesn't bother me.
Still seemed like he wasn't telling her something, but she was too embarrassed to question him further. It surprised her, though, that he was so focused on Rintaro. Seemed to have taken a real liking to him ever since they had first met. Did he simply like the guy, or was it because he was Kurisu's friend, or was it something else? She didn't know. The next day, Maho and Dr. Leskinen returned to America via Narita Airport, just like they'd planned. Rintaro had come to see them off, and he was very surprised when Dr. Leskinen told him he could continue being a tester. That reminds me, I have to get the Steins Gate Zero anime on Blu-ray, don't I? I've got the original anime on DVD Blu-ray package and the film, but I haven't gotten the Steins Gate Zero yet.
Hmm.
And then half a year passed.
What the fuck?
That's one way to do it.
Okay, so are we well on our way into the bad timeline? Is that what this route is?
There are multiple timelines.
Yeah, but I mean the one that they're trying to avoid.
Yeah, this seems well, because half a year. What is Suzuha's deadline? A little bit before July?
Yeah.
That was in January. So yeah, we are nearing the deadline to actually reach Steins Gate at this point. Victor Condrea University's grounds were dead quiet. It was after 11 p.m. Some of the labs worked all night and into the morning, so the place wasn't completely abandoned. But compared to daytime, it was quiet. Lights in the halls were off, and it was a little scary walking down them alone. Maho lived in the researchers' apartments next to the lab. She'd been thinking about so many things that night, her head felt like it was going to explode. Wait, you work as a researcher at a prestigious university and they don't pay you enough to get your own place? You have to live in the... You still have to live on campus? I guess
mean,
she's still like student
Yeah,
age,
that
right?
graduate students
Yeah,
often live in graduate student housing.
Right. Okay, she's a grad student right now, basically. Okay. Then she looked out of the window and realized that the lights were still on in the brain science lab. Dr. Leskinen must have been working late. She decided to put some coffee in a thermos and take it to him.
The idea that universities would pay grad students enough to have housing.
It didn't occur to me that Maho was
In
grad
America.
student. Yeah,
In
no, you're
America.
right. Exactly, in America.
Why am I doing so much research about time machines anyway?
What? Ever since she'd come back from Japan in January, she'd spent all her free time on it. Even she had to admit she was getting obsessed. Right, this led off from the conversation with Okabe at the end of...
Yeah.
Right, she's got the bug for it.
What happened to the laptop?
I don't know if we know what happened to the laptop
Does she
yet.
still have it?
It was with... I don't remember where it was at the end of the last episode. I think it was with Okabe.
And they were in Ferris's place. That's where it
Right,
was.
and
And we
Okabe
don't know what
left it
happened
with-
after that.
So presumably she still has it. Of course, since this wasn't something she could research in public, and since she couldn't let it interfere with her real job, she had to do it all of it in her own room at night. As a result, she was staying up late battling with physics textbooks, an unfamiliar subject for her. Exhaustion and lack of sleep were starting to get to her. The whole idea of a time machine was stupid. She still thought so, but she was surprised at how desperate she was getting.
This is all because of Okabe.
What Okabe had said to her in Japan still stuck with her. It's possible that Kurisu may have been involved in the paper he wrote. That's specifically what it was. Okay. Rintaro could have been lying or wrong or simply delusional, but part of her wanted to believe it was real. Of course, from what she'd seen of Dr. Nakabachi's paper, she didn't want to believe Kurisu was involved. It was just that bad. Well, here's the thing. Why hasn't she asked Kurisu? It was still a little before that, but like, hey, like, if you looked at this, like, if you really wanted to know, wouldn't you just give the faked paper or Nakabachi's paper to Amadeus Kurisu and be like, hey, can you see the imprints of your ideas on this or something that you could work out? Like, have they gotten her take on it yet?
I don't know.
I guess that would alert Kurisu and let the rest of the lab know what she was working on, so never mind. It was just that bad, But what if his version was an inferior copy of an original that Kurisu wrote? If she could have written it off as a slim possibility, everything would have been so much easier. But it was just like her, she thought, to be unable to do that.
I want to find what Kurisu found.
That desire was what drove her to action. But the more research she did, the harder it seemed. It was so hard, she was starting to lose faith in what she wanted to believe. Her usual complex started weighing down on her.
Kurisu. I can't be you after all.
Kurisu was her dear friend, but at the same time, she was starting to feel jealous, frustrated, and hateful. And when all those feelings started going around in her mind, there was no way she could focus on work. It was time to chat with Dr. Leskinen for a little and then go to sleep. She headed over to the lab.
Professor?
Hey, Maho.
Oh, hey, we get to see him in a lab coat. We haven't seen him in a lab coat yet, have we?
I don't think we have.
Dr. Leskinen seemed surprised at her sudden visit, but he stood up from his chair and welcomed her.
What brings you here at this hour? It's time for kids to be in bed.
I'll say those exact same words to you.
You've got that right.
Dr. Leskinen laughed innocently, like a child at her cutting remark.
I could see the light on from my room. Here you go.
The cup on Dr. Leskinen's desk was empty. She poured him some coffee from the thermos. Wasn't the sticky sweet café au lait that she liked. She'd made it straight black to match the professor's tastes. The room was filled with steam and a pleasant smell.
This is a surprise. Maho bringing me coffee.
I'm not that bad, am I?
But I thought you hated this sort of thing. As I recall, it was the first day you came to this lab. Mary was passing out morning coffee to everyone and you refused, and you remember what you said then. Did you come to work to make coffee? If you've got time to make coffee, why not get started on your work? I was in awe, I remember. This new kid was really something.
It's a universally accepted truth that if you want people to do their best work, you don't get between them and their coffee.
That was such a long time ago. You don't need to bring it up now.
I've straight up worked places where being the coffee guy was secretly one of the most influential and prestigious positions.
Because you determined when people get their caffeine.
Yeah, and dude was just like in a position where
you got everyone's ear.
Yeah, he's got everyone's ear. Everyone likes him and talks to him and tells him about stuff, and he would never ever get fired, no matter how badly he did or how slow he got as he got old, because he was the coffee guy. He was always there first, heating up the coffee maker and offering everybody a cup. And you do that for enough years and suddenly you secretly run the place.
Right? Like that was one of the power moves by one of the other managers where I used to work, because like they would leave the cafe coffee machine, they were the ones that stood between the people doing overnights and free coffee, or the person going on the overnight going out doing a coffee run and was like, oh man, you got so much soft power from that.
This is one of the things that slightly cheeses me off about working fully remote like I do, which is that I can't just get everybody a coffee on a rough day.
There is that very slight dynamic, right? That you miss by working. I think I still think that's a better trade-off.
Yeah, I still think it's worth it. I still think it's very worth it.
But it is a very fascinating little microcosm dynamic that you miss out on.
It's just not the same if I mail you some tea or coffee
mail
for
them
you to
an
make
NFT
it
of a coffee.
No.
Sorry. Ever since you... Oh, man. Seen some really weird NFT stuff recently, so
Yeah.
oh,
People
man.
really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Anyway, that joke flew in from 2 years ago. Maho's cheeks swelled in embarrassment.
Back then everyone called me the girl genius, right? And I kinda let it go to my head.
I think she's mentioned this she did mention it very directly, but it hasn't come up in a while, right? Because I remember, like, she mentioned it very directly towards the beginning of the game. But since then, it's kind of faded into the background.
Mentioned what?
Her complex, her kind of feeling like she exists in Kurisu's shadow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we never really knew why that was, just that she said that she constantly felt like she was performing in Kurisu's shadow. But I guess now we're getting the story about why.
I know better now.
Mary was another scientist at the lab. After Maho had apologized, they'd gone on to be friends.
You're so mean, Professor. I'm never making you coffee again, all right?
Just as she was thinking of taking the coffee, she'd pour it back.
That's right, Professor. Don't be so mean to Maho.
She heard a voice from Dr. Leskinen's computer.
Oh, Kurisu?
Yes, it's me.
I was just examining her program.
She moved around to where she could see the monitor, and sure enough, the Kurisu CG model was displayed on it. One thing that I just think we kind of take for granted, but never really kind of established, how does the AI program, the collection of memories, know how to manipulate the CG model in a way that's similar to human? Like, that's just kind of hand-waved, isn't it? That's kind of just glossed over. Like, of course they know how to do it. Why wouldn't they? But when you think about it, that's a whole separate process, isn't it?
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
whole extra step there that's just kind of... That's not a trivial thing to solve. But whatever, we don't care. Sci-fi!
Good evening, Maho.
Sorry to see you working so late.
Maho chuckled to herself. Kurisu was just a program running on a computer, but she still couldn't stop herself from saying things like that. After all the time they'd spent together, Kurisu was no different than a human to her.
I'm not being mean to Maho. I was actually quite impressed with what she said to Mary. I thought that she was very logical, very cool-headed, and very entertaining. That's why I made her my assistant. Of course, I don't mind the new, nicer version of you.
Dr. Leskinen gave her a wink as he reached for his coffee cup.
Thanks, I'll have some.
As he drank his coffee, he grabbed the corners of his eyelids and gave them a little massage. He was acting cheerful, but evidently he was really tired.
So, what are you doing with the program?
Oh, you know, for the paper I'm writing.
Oh, the mechanism Amadeus uses to lie?
If we could figure out this part of the program, we could learn more about how humans lie, you know?
Oh, that's interesting. That's actually fascinating, using, like you've already, proof of concept digitized something, and if you presume that they're close enough to, the Amadeus operates close enough to how humans operate, you could kind of work backwards to find out some stuff. That's not... It does assume that the way Amadeus works is sufficiently similar to humans, but they've got no reason to disbelieve that. That's not a bad belief you start with. What's the word I'm looking for? Thing to suppose. Whatever. Theory? Not a theory.
Yeah.
Axiom. Maybe? Kind of. Close. Whatever.
It's also definitely a thing that people are researching in real life.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's folks, I saw literally this morning a paper with folks looking into truth representation in large language models and suggesting that some of them appear to categorize lies separately from truthful statements.
Oh, that's fascinating.
In a way that hypothetically could be used to make them make shit up less, maybe, or at least recognize when it is making shit up versus not.
Huh. So at least they seem to have some idea, at least some concept. They seem to generate some concept of a truth value, whether or not it's accurate. But that's honestly fascinating.
At least for this one particular model that this one paper was about.
Man, imagine if you could just study AI like this and then not use it to to generate random crap and replace people's jobs. Just imagine if we could do those. If we could hold both things at the same time. Wouldn't that be lovely? Anyway, capitalism.
Women's lies sometimes hide important secrets. I can't say I approve of you trying to discover them.
Kurisu's expression was deadly serious.
I'm not trying to discover your secrets. I just want to know the thought process involved in telling a lie.
Well, that's fine. If I have to reveal something, I'll start by revealing Maho's sweet secrets.
Hey, don't be weird. And what are my sweet secrets anyway?
Also, you know what's really funny?
What?
Amadeus Kurisu is going to be stuck with this CG of Kurisu for the rest of her life, however you want to quantify life for an AI.
I mean, they could artist's rendition what an older Kurisu would look like and update the CG every couple years.
Are they going to go to that expense? Remember, they hired a big professional studio to get this sufficiently lifelike.
Yeah, I mean, they could.
That's
it depends.
not a trivial
It depends on how
expense just for
successful
the
it is.
presumed comfort of... It's a thought.
Oh, I couldn't say.
She played dumb. Sometimes Kurisu liked to joke around. It was infuriating and at the same time kind of cute.
For example, do you think I don't know about the stuffed animal that he got you at the arcade?
Huh?
The first thing she thought of when she heard the word arcade was what happened back in Akihabara, Japan. She'd tried so many times to get the stuffed animal and failed each time. Rintaro had won it easily and given it to her.
What about it?
You've got it on your bed, don't you?
What? What are you talking about? That's a present for your mom.
Then what's it doing on your bed?
Because your mom says she's looking for a new house and she's living in an apartment right now, I don't want to give her more stuff to haul around.
Really?
Really? And anyway, that stuffed animal is an important reminder of you. What's wrong with snuggling it as I sleep?
Just waiting for Maho's brain to catch up with what she's thinking.
Oh, so it is on your bed after all. And you snuggle with it when you sleep? That's so cute. Tell me more details, please.
That stupid computer program had tricked her. By the time she realized, it was already too late. Both Kurisu and Dr. Leskinen, who'd been listening to the whole time, were smiling at her. She glared at them, her cheeks flushed.
Looks like Kurisu won this round, huh?
It doesn't matter who won or lost. I'm going to bed. Good night.
She turned to leave Dr. Leskinen's office, fuming. But before she could leave, Kurisu got in one final parting shot.
Maho, you haven't talked to Okabe for a whole week. If you keep putting off talking to him because you're busy, you're gonna regret it later, okay?
Oh, so I guess Okabe is still testing. And Kurisu knows that... And Maho's been in regular contact with him, too. Interesting.
Listen, are you really that insistent on getting me and Okabe together?
Maho stormed over to the monitor, but Kurisu seemed unconcerned.
Do you ever think about seeing him in person again?
Nope.
I see. That's a shame.
For some reason, Dr. Leskinen shook his head sadly.
I've got another joint project coming up in Japan, and I was thinking of getting in touch with Rintaro while I was there. I was wondering whether I should invite you. I guess not.
Huh?
She'd heard nothing about this. Most of the time, whenever the professor had a project coming up, she'd hear about it through the school's network ahead of time.
You're going back to Japan?
Yeah?
Oh.
She had to stop herself from immediately saying that she wanted to go too. If she did, Dr. Leskinen and Kurisu would make fun of her again. But she didn't want to miss this chance either. There was still a lot she needed to do in Japan. More than anything, she wanted to talk to Rintaro in person. About the time machine and about Kurisu. It definitely was not because she just liked talking to him.
Please, take me too.
In the end, she gave in.
Oh, you've finally become honest about your feelings.
Let's come up with a plan to tell him how much you love him.
For someone who's as observant as Kurisu appears to be, she really hasn't picked up on the fact that Okabe is clearly in love with her.
That's because Kurisu is not that observant of this stuff.
Okay.
Come on, guys.
I mean, she's observant enough to note that that Okabe knew her, but she has. I guess people have that kind of blind spot when it comes to themselves, don't they? Maho was starting to get tired of dealing with them.
Well, joking aside, I'm honestly not sure if I can take you or not.
Oh, what do you mean?
A lot happened to you in Japan, right? The brain science lab is very concerned.
But that's not a...
And then there's what happened to Kurisu. The directors don't want to lose any more talented personnel.
I'll be fine. I was fine last time, wasn't I?
In other words, you want to go to Japan and see Rintaro that badly, huh?
Oh, come on now. Do we need to go talk to HR about sexual harassment?
Oh, please don't do that.
Then don't do it.
But why not seriously consider dating him? It's possible he'll be coming here in the future, right? You should try to get your hooks into him while you can.
Stop sounding like a nosy aunt.
Yeah, because that's what it's been coming across for with me. Less Kurisu being observant and secretly getting it, and more Kurisu just being like nosy and insistent.
I see. Almost a little busybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
All right, Maho, I understand. I'll talk to the directors, but just know that I can't guarantee anything.
Right. Thanks.
I'm pretty serious, actually.
Are you still saying that?
It really felt like she was talking to Kurisu. The feeling was much stronger than when they'd first started on Amadeus. And that reminded her of something she'd almost done many times, but stopped.
Why not tell Kurisu about the time machine?
She didn't know if Kurisu had completed the time machine theory before her death, but if she had, some clues to it might be hidden in Kurisu's memory. Okay, so she is thinking about it. Of course, she couldn't ask her in front of Dr. Leskinen, and she couldn't let others hear that she was making a time machine. If the rest of the lab found out, they'd make fun of her for sure. It wasn't even her field of research to begin with. Okay. I like how they also address that, like, this isn't, like, what she does. Not every scientist is an omnidisciplinary savant, right?
Okay, Professor, I'm going back to my room.
Maho took her thermos and was about to leave the lab.
Oh, wait a second. You haven't updated Maho's memory data at all lately, have you?
Huh?
The Amadeus Maho.
Oh,
The last time was before we went to Japan, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, about that.
Maho didn't know what to say. He was right.
I only had a lot of scary experiences in Japan. I've been thinking maybe that we shouldn't give Amadeus bad memories.
I understand how you feel, but I can't do a comparison trial like this.
Comparison trial involved loading memories from both before and after a given experience into Amadeus and seeing how it changed. These trials allowed them to see what effects experiences and knowledge had on the brain, but after Kurisu's passing, they became solely Maho's responsibility.
Right now, the real you and the Amadeus you have such different memories that you're almost different people.
Yeah, that's true.
At this rate, I'm going to have to take you off the project and ask someone else to do it.
That's,
Her expression darkened.
Stop talking to Kurisu all the time and give yourself some attention. I'm sure she's lonely. Make sure you update your memories tomorrow, understood?
Understood.
Maho nodded her head and left the room.
Can they read the memories that are stored, or is it only through the interface of making them into an Amadeus person and asking that person about them?
I think part of their research was trying to, like, I think they explicitly mentioned that they can't just read and write memories.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't work that way, but that could be an avenue of research. And it has been 6 months. Like, in sci-fi novel time, I could believe that they've cracked something in that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason she'd given to Dr. Leskinen for not updating Maho's memories was a real concern, but there was also another one. Rintaro's words. Hey, the U.S. military aren't involved in researching Amadeus, are they? She had no proof, but she couldn't get his words out of her mind. Was some great power involved in the Amadeus research? Something so powerful it was outside even Dr. Leskinen's control. If she updated her memory data, Maho would learn about Kurisu's laptop and hard disk. She trusted Amadeus, but that would mean whomever was secretly trying to use the project for their own ends would find out. It seemed silly, almost delusional, to be worried about something like that, but she couldn't get it out of her mind ever since she'd come back to America.
Okay, so they went to the exact place that I was going.
Yeah. We're like, it's a reasonable concern, even if it's not something that they can specifically do, right? It's that is still another point of attack.
Yep.
I really am overthinking it, though.
She whispered to herself.
Who's there? Is someone there?
She heard a woman's voice from down the dark hallway. Maho stopped dead in her tracks. The hallway lights flipped on, and she saw a group of men and women coming down the corridor that connected her building to the next one. The next building over was the psychophysiology lab. Maho's brain science lab mostly investigated the workings of the brain itself. The psychophysiology lab, on the other hand, was more of the medical department. It looked at how the workings of the brain affected mental states and mental illnesses.
Excuse me, I'm Maho Yajo from Dr. Leskinen's lab.
The woman at the head of the group was someone she knew. Hey, finally she shows up!
I literally forget everything about this character other than she has the same glasses as me.
Right. She was in the opening credits sequence and we're like, hey, look, there's someone that was about fucking time. I was like, is she like somehow not as important? No, here we go. It was Dr. Reyes, a scientist at the psychophysiology lab. Do you want to be Reyes?
Sure. Oh, it's you, Maho.
Professor Reyes, are you up working this late?
You too.
Yeah, I suppose.
We're both addicted to our work, aren't we?
Judy Reyes' eyes narrowed beneath her glasses as she laughed.
Where's Alexis? Still in his office?
Yeah, he's working on Amadeus.
He really is dedicated. Sometimes I wonder if he doesn't think it's his own daughter.
Are you gonna see Dr. Leskinen at this hour? It's an emergency meeting. I'll go too, but...
No need for that. I'm having some trouble with my research. I want his help, and I want it now. There wouldn't be anything you could do, really. Oh, don't take that the wrong way, but thanks.
Dr. Reyes kept smiling as she walked past Maho toward the lab. The other scientists followed her.
Wrong with her research? What could it be?
She took a closer look and saw that she didn't recognize one of the people in the group. It's hard to say why exactly she noticed him. He just didn't look like a scientist. When you spend enough time doing research, you start to get a feel for people who are in the same line of work. But he had a totally different air about him, and what was worse, he was behaving extremely rudely towards Dr. Reyes. If he was one of her staff, he wouldn't act like that. And while everyone was wearing white lab coats, he was wearing a freshly pressed suit. It just didn't feel right. She was about to head back to her room when... bothered her enough that she turned right back around and silently crept back towards Dr. Leskinen's lab. The door was slightly ajar. She could hear voices inside. She knew it was wrong, but she decided to push her face up against the door to listen.
How long are you going to let him hang on to it? It's a valuable source of information. I'd hate to tip him off and have him destroy it. Either way, we're leaving for Japan this month. I plan on getting it back then. Can you explain why you've dragged your feet for 6 months over this? I have a feeling that they're still hiding something we don't know about yet. I tried to use Amadeus to get it out of him, but he's a very cautious boy, Arlene Tolo Okabe. Why not use your special treatment on Maho? I don't think she knows anything.
Maho started to panic when she heard her name.
Oh.
And then, she realized she'd made a big mistake. She was so focused on listening to the conversation that she pressed her shoulder into the door. The door to the lab wasn't very well built. There was a loud creak and everyone in the lab turned around.
Who's there?
She knew she should probably run, but her body refused to move. She couldn't understand what she was hearing, and even after they found her, she still couldn't move. She couldn't believe it. She didn't want to believe it. This was worse than believing in a thriller, she thought. The other scientists who were with Dr. Reyes grabbed her arms tightly and dragged her into the room.
Professor, what were you just talking about?
Dr. Leskinen looked a little sad as he walked over to her. His huge body leaned forward and peered into her face.
Oh dear, you heard, did you? Well, it's good timing. Maho, remember that Japan trip we were just talking about? You're going to come with me after all.
She didn't know what he meant. Weren't the directors opposed to it? Was it something Dr. Leskinen could decide on his own? What was good timing? Confused, she glanced over at the computer screen, but Kurisu was no longer there. The one thing she knew was... Okabe's words weren't the ramblings of a conspiracy theorist after all. Oh hey, we're back to me now. We're back to sad sack Okabe. It was almost July. The rainy season hadn't been that bad this year, and what little remained of it had already disappeared. Temperature-wise, summer had come a long time ago. Summer. In other words, it had been almost a year since it happened. Ba, ba. Oh, look, NFC. It's KFC, but with a cat on. I like it. And then one Saturday afternoon, I stayed home. Not only would it be hot, but Dad would be on my case about helping with the family business. To get away, I'd come to the area around Ikebukuro Station. A year ago, I could have gone to the lab, but with Suzuha living there now, I'd mostly stopped going. But that meant it was hard to find a place to study on my days off. It was too much trouble to go to the university, and the classrooms probably weren't open on weekends anyway. Oh, hold on. We should check our phone. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Nothing there. Can we call Amadeus? We can't call Amadeus. Okay. After a lot of research, I'd settled on spending my free days visiting this cafe near my parents' home and spending a few hours there.
Oh no, heading to Starbucks.
Starbucks is good for this kind of thing because they're open like for ridiculous hours. Like when I was in university and I was like a real night owl, as much as I liked going to like the local cafes, like if I wanted a fucking coffee at 5 a.m, there was exactly one place where I could get that. Right, and that was the Starbucks. Granted, it was like a 40-minute hike to get there, but still, like it was.
Yeah, but he's looking for a place to spend his free days visiting, and I feel like...
Yeah, Starbucks is a bit too crowded for that kind of thing, unless it's on the off hours when you're like, specifically need something at a weird hour of the day. Because then it's like, you get all the traffic in here, it gets too busy, yeah. Or, unless you know one of the baristas and bum free drinks off them. Either way. In fact, a lot of the other patrons did the same thing I did, buying a single cup of coffee and sitting there for hours on end. Some brought books, some brought computers. I chuckled to myself as I realized I'd joined the ranks of the other normies. Oh. Oh, it's gonna do it for me.
Tuturu, where are you now?
Coffee about... Oh, by the way, one of the commenters cleared up the reason for us why everyone has science adventure themed line stickers. It's because Ryan in Universe is developed by Daru.
Wait, I just realized it even says that.
Daru application down there. So that just means that as he built it, he added in stickers of his friends.
That's great.
That's literally what it is.
Oh, the usual cafe, right? I just went to your place and you weren't home.
Oh, you did? Did my dad make a nuisance of himself again?
It's okay. He gave me some barley tea. I miss barley tea. Barley tea's good. I should get some. I have to go shopping. Will you come with me?
Okay.
Honk Mew? What?
Thank
Mew.
What else was it going to be?
I didn't see the T, so I thought it said honk Mew, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Okay, I'll leave now. Wait for me.
So they went to my house. My family's business was called Okabe Green Grocer. It was a beat-up old store located in a rundown shopping street. The place was almost 40 years old. I really wanted them to rebuild it. My mind wandered. My area was going to be here in less than 15 minutes, so maybe it was time to call it a day. I want to see if this if he's lampshading this. No. Okay. Get me out of here. I'd worked pretty hard during the morning, so it wasn't too bad. A little surprised at how hard I've been working lately. I could feel how having a goal gave me energy. Right, because he's trying to get to Victor-Chondria. I need to get to Victor-Chondria University as soon as I could. Victor-Chondria University. Since I was still testing Amadeus, I'd kept in touch with Maho via email and online chat. She must have been working hard because she was always sleepy. Huh? Well, always. Never not Amadeus.
Yep.
Hello?
What? Why is your voice so low?
Oh, I'm at a cafe right now. Please don't call me when I'm busy with stuff.
I have no way to know where you are or what you're doing. Or do you want me watching you 24 hours a day? Are you saying you want me observing you while you sleep or while you're taking a bath?
Says it with this totally emotionless, dispassionate glare.
I'll do it.
I as long, you know what? I've got this weird feeling that you would put a chip in my head. Do you know anything about that? That's not an impulse you have, is it? Long-time viewers know. That is not a satisfying answer to the question about having a chip in my head.
You're quite the pervert, aren't you?
Oh my god. I'm sorry.
If you don't want to talk to me when I call you, just don't pick up. I won't get mad about something like that.
No, but you see, we have to always answer. It's just the rule. That's true.
Well, it looks like you're busy now, so I'll do what you want and hang up. You're right, it's probably pretty weird for the rest of the cafe to see you talking to a 3D model of a girl on your phone.
Come on.
I'm kidding. You always take the time to talk to me, and well, I am grateful.
Aw, so it does matter that we always pick up. We could talk about that some other time. I'm hanging up.
Hey, wait!
Kurisu always talked so much. The real one used to talk a lot too. Talking to her in a place like this always drew a lot of attention and made me feel awkward. Looking at a screen and talking was embarrassing, was all. So, I'd once proposed that I talk to her like I was on a normal phone, and this is what she said.
Why do I have to stare at a close-up of the side of your head?
She really was a selfish little program. Can we call her again now that we've left? I'll give it a try. Hold on.
This is also something that like a few short years later didn't age well because of FaceTime and shit.
Oh yeah.
Where it's no longer weird to be talking to the phone like that.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's see what's in the store here. Pencil cross pencil. That doesn't say anything. What is this? Like a craft store?
Like
is this like the equivalent of like
paper?
A Michael's?
It looks like it's for like writing shit specifically.
Yeah, like stationery and stuff. Yeah, okay. I can see it. Oh, give me my thing back, please. There it is. Mayuri and I met up and headed for Tokyo Hands. When I stepped inside the air-conditioned store, I felt refreshed. If it was this hot in June, I shuddered to think of what it was going to be like in July or August. Oh, hey! Well, we've seen Mayuri's school outfit before, right?
Yeah, but now it's new art.
But now is it new? It is, because it doesn't have the speckles anymore.
Yeah.
I wonder, it looks the same. I wonder if they just redrew it or drew over it without the speckles. I still miss them. I really think that was like an important part of Steins Gate's identity or visual identity, but it's been subsumed by the anime at this point, so.
Fan patch to speckle up the art in the other syads.
Honestly, if there's a fan patch to speckle up the art, I will abort this Let's Play, install that, and have us do it from there. Mark my words. So what are you going to buy?
We're going to make some signs for advertising. So I need poster board and highlighters and stuff.
Are you going to put out a book at this year's Komima?
Nope, it's for Okabe Greengrocer.
Huh? What did you say? My family business.
When I went to your house today, I talked to your dad about it. And I said that Mayushi would make them for him.
Oh, wait, seriously? My dad could be such a jerk. There's really no reason you have to do that.
But Mayushi wants to do it.
You're sure?
Your mom and dad are always so nice to me.
Okay, I'll get you something as a thank you present then.
Really? That makes me so happy.
So thank you for not dying. I took a quick look around and saw that they were selling a lot of things you could use for advertising. It's really kind of some whiplash to have this game take place over the course of like a full year, whereas original Steins Gate was like part of the drama was that it was condensed into like a series of a few weeks, right?
Which then looped a fucking billion times.
Exactly. It's whiplash.
So this simultaneously takes place over a longer span of time and a shorter span of time so far.
Oh yeah, because like, yeah, okay. Okay, if you want to be, okay, like a shorter subjective time, longer absolute time, I suppose.
I don't know if those, does that have meaning in this situation?
Further distance traveled down the world line.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's what I mean by absolute time.
Yeah.
I decided to mostly leave the purchasing decisions up to Mayuri. She spent quite a while deciding what to buy, but, well, maybe because of all the time she spent at May Queen plus Neon Squared, her taste ran in the direction of cute and anime. Part of me thought it was dangerous to leave it up to her, but still they'd asked for her, not me. It wasn't any of my business. I should just leave it to her. And so I decided to wander around the store while Mayuri finished shopping, but always Amadeus.
Yep. The A in Amadeus stands for always pick up the phone.
What's up?
Are you out shopping?
Yeah, I'm with Mayuri right now.
Oh, a date?
Mainstream woman.
I've told you to stop calling me that.
Then stop assuming everything is about romance.
Right, fine.
Okabe with a decent comeback for once.
But isn't Mayuri cute? You're lucky to have such a cutie as your childhood friend.
You're right.
Maho doesn't stand a chance at this rate. She's not as cute, she's not as young, she's shorter, and her boobs are just hopeless. I feel so bad for her.
If you say that in front of Hyajo, she will delete your program.
You know, you actually haven't introduced me to Mayuri.
Very good reasons for that.
You got quite a few friends, but you've never told any of them about me.
It's a secrecy thing. I'm not supposed to tell people about you.
Is that really all it is? You actually don't want people seeing me talk to you, do you?
That's not true. If you really want me to introduce you, I'll get permission from Hyajo. I'll start by introducing you to Daru, the man I trust the most. He'd just love to talk to you.
He'll stare at me with his filthy eyes, constantly panting after me 24 hours a day. Right. Perverts scare me.
Kurisu went pale and started to shake. I told Kurisu all kinds of things about what kind of person Daru was. She could easily imagine what would happen if she ever fell into his clutches.
Never mind, you don't have to introduce me to anyone.
Bullet dodged!
I'll just keep telling myself that I'm lucky to have you to talk to.
Oh, that's actually rather nice.
Karin.
Mayuri walked over, carrying a shopping basket. Our phone is still up, though.
Who are you talking to?
Secret girlfriend. You know that secret
okay.
girlfriend everyone's assumed that I have? That's who I was talking to.
Okay.
I looked down at my phone. Kurisu had disappeared and my smartphone was back at its home screen. Evidently, Kurisu had hung up. Another student from school. That's not... There is a way that you could torture that to being true, right?
A student from a school.
That he is planning on attending.
I see.
Right? I knew I didn't have to hide Kurisu, but at the same time, Mari was the one person I didn't want finding out. She knew that I'd failed to save Kurisu Makise last summer. So, did you decide what you're going to buy?
Oh, yeah. What do you think about this?
The basket was filled with heart and star-shaped cardstock. This didn't really go with our store's look, but I decided that when I started, I was going to let Mayuri make the decisions. Dad might complain later, but I didn't care. He was the one who asked Mayuri for help, not me. And so I went over to the register. Since it was a Saturday, the checkout area was overflowing with shopping carts. Since it was going to take a while, I sent Mayuri to browse the toy section on another floor. I knew they'd have some stuff from one of her favorite shows, Rainet Kakuru. Mayuri looked apologetic, but did what I told her to. In the end, I waited a whole 15 minutes at the register. As an apology, I decided to get the present I'd promised her. She seemed really happy as she started at the keychain. Hey! We have enough context to know what this is now, right? Because we've seen it.
Yeah.
We've seen this already.
Yeah.
It was Upa, the mascot character from the Rainet Kakaru series. I told her when she went over to the toy section she could pick out anything she wanted, and this is what she chose. Seemed pretty happy about that, given how many Upas you already have. And that's a regular green Upa, right? Not the rare one. The rare one...
The rare one. Do you mean the metal Upa?
You see the misattribution there?
Yeah.
The most popular and rarest of the Upas was the shiny silver metal Upa. For example, whenever there was a lottery for rare Rainet Kakaru stuff at the convenience stores, the top prize was always a metal Upa. Mayuri had told me once that they sold for tens of thousands of yen at auction.
Tisk, tisk.
You want to know what's really sad? In the future of Steins Gate, there are absolutely Upa NFTs.
Yeah.
For some reason, Mayuri was wagging her finger at me.
Nope. This is a green Upa, but it's not a regular one.
Oh?
This is the green fairy Upa that was in the movie they just released.
Oh, come to think of it, there had been a Rainet Kakaru movie come out in spring. Have I resat in a theater full of little kids to watch it? The Green Fairy.
Is it okay if I spoil the movie?
Spoiler alert if you're listening in. Spoiler alert for the Rainet Kakaru movie. Go ahead, I'm not going to see it.
So this movie, it's about a fight with an evil super hacker in the virtual world. The virtual world is a forest where the fairies live.
Is Rainet Kakaru meant to be like a Digimon send-up?
It's absolutely Digimon.
It just occurred to me now, like after getting into Digimon over the past few years, and it's only now occurring to me that Rainet Kakaru is meant to be a Digimon send-up. I just thought it was a bizarre, like it's bizarre own thing, but no, it's Digimon.
Yep.
That's great.
Mr. Super Hacker is really strong, and Kakeru and Upa are in big trouble, but just when they're about to lose, the fairies come to save them. And it turns out that the fairies are actually the flowers in the school garden that he'd always taken care of. They came all the way to the virtual world to save Kakeru, and then there was this big shiny light, and then they combined with Upa. And that's the green fairy Upa. He's really cute and really strong. Mayushi thought it was so great. I love stories like that. The director's a genius.
So, does the Upa digivolve into the Great Fairy Upa? Is that what's happening? I see. It was rare for Mayuri to get this excited about something. I took a closer look and saw the design was a little different from the standard Upa. I didn't know a lot about Upas, so I couldn't exactly say what was different, but...
I've actually been spending a lot of time looking for this keychain.
Oh my god, that means if Upa is like the Agumon equivalent, that means there's like 1,600 different Upas.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like there's Mecha Upa, there's Black Upa, there's Lego Upa. No, sorry, Toy Upa. Oh man.
It's really popular, so it's sold out everywhere. I never would have thought Hands would have one.
Oh, you were pretty lucky, huh?
Yep. And it was the last one.
You know what? Just gonna knock on wood real quick, because you and extremely lucky Upa merchandise, it's just a thing, you know?
I'm glad I came today. I need to thank you and your dad.
Oh, Mayuri took the tag off the keychain, got her house key out of her bag, and carefully attached it.
Hey, Okarin, Mayushi will treasure this forever and ever and ever.
Forever and ever and ever?
Indeed.
Yeah, please do. Make sure you don't lose it 5 minutes after you get it, alright? It happened before, after all. Okay, to be fair. Like the metal Upa I'd won for her at the radio building. Mayuri had lost it no more than 5 minutes after I gave it to her. Wonder if she'd ever found it. Didn't really want to remember that time in my life, so my memory of what happened to the metal Upa was vague. Isn't metal Upa the whole reason that it's a metal Upa he wasn't expecting in some kind of The metal Oopa gets stuck in the thing with the paper, right? And that sets off a metal detector at the airport or something, which is how...
Yeah, and that's how on the Steins Gate world line that we see in the main game, how Nakabachi ends up not defecting.
Right.
Yup, I'm never gonna lose it again.
The two of us started to head back.
I'm gonna work hard and make the ads for your shop, okay?
Oh yeah, you've still got to do that. But I think the job was done once we bought the materials. The real work actually began now. Should I help as well?
No, I'm fine. Believe in Mayushi.
Alright, I'm a little worried after you try to buy heart-shaped cardstock, but...
It's fine.
Heart-shaped cardstock, my favorite Nirvana song. Well, it's nice of you to make them at all, so I won't complain.
Oh, I need to call Mom. I'll tell her that I'll be home for dinner.
Why not eat at my place? I'm sure either Mom or Dad will try to get you to stay anyway.
I don't know. Are you going to stay at home the rest of today? You won't go to any singles parties?
I haven't been to any lately. Last fall when I'd been trying to become a normal college kid, I'd forced myself to go to as many as possible, but lately I'd been so busy with my studies I hadn't had a chance.
I see. Then maybe I will.
Myri took out her phone and started to type something when... Her expression suddenly darkened. She stopped moving. What's wrong?
I just got a message from Kaede. I didn't notice it. What should I do, Okarin?
Myri seemed like she was on the verge of tears. Oh, is this about Fubuki?
Probably.
Because what's happened to her?
Yeah. Is
Did
she
something
still
happen?
stuck in a hospital? Hey, Okarin. You told me before that Fubuki's not sick, right?
Fubuki? You mean Nakase? Not Kurushima, right?
Yeah. Is that true? She's really not sick.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
But...
Myri showed me her phone.
Fubuki's
Oh,
back?
wait, this is from Kaede.
Yeah.
Fubuki's back in the hospital. I'm on my way. Here's the location.
So she got out.
So she did get out eventually, but now she's back? She's back in the hospital? Couldn't believe what I was seeing on the screen. Fubuki was at a different location than before. This time it was the AH Tokyo General Hospital High-Tech Medical Center in Yoyogi. Oh, so this could just be actually sick with something.
Yeah.
Supposedly one of Japan's most advanced hospitals. According to what I read on the internet, patients with the new encephalitis that everyone was talking about were being gathered here for special treatment. But I also read lots of really bad urban legends about the place, and I was a bit worried about what kind of horror show I'd find there. But of course, when we arrived, it was nothing like that. It was very clean and decorated like a luxury hotel. Mayuri, Okarin. Alright, Yuki Sire.
This way.
Oh, hey, casual outfits for these two.
Yeah.
Hey, they look happy to be here. Kaede. If you're wondering, Fubuki's casual outfit is the medical garb. Kaede and Yuki waved to us as we entered the lobby.
To be fair, Kaide's expression looks the same as normal.
True. Kaede just has the sad girl with long black hair thing going on. Yuki had gotten a message from Kaede as well and had evidently come right over.
Where's Fubuki?
How did I wind up in a situation where I'm voicing 3/4 of this seat? Never mind.
Oh, she's fine.
Yuki gave Mayuri a soft hug and a smile. Kaede bowed her head apologetically. I'm sorry to scare you. I was kind of in a hurry myself. I should have checked more carefully before I messaged you. Oh, what do you mean? How is Nakase doing? I just met her mom in the hospital room, and it doesn't look like her illness has gotten any worse. Then they just brought her here for more examinations or something? Yeah, that's what they said. So there's nothing to worry about.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, gathering all the encephalitis patients in one place. Yeah, okay. Mayuri looked extremely relieved as Yuki continued to hug her. If I remembered right, the last time they examined her, they said it was possible she had the disease, but as long as it didn't get worse, it wouldn't affect her daily life. They just told her to come back for regular checkups. Okay, so at some point things did give in, and they're like, okay. The new encephalitis had arrived in Japan over 6 months ago, but the number of patients was still increasing. Fortunately, there hadn't been a single casualty yet. So glad for Chie at home. Pretty sure that's no illness, though. I was certain that what they were calling encephalitis was actually something similar to reading Steiner. One time when I went to visit Fubuki in the hospital, I had secretly investigated the other patients. Wasn't able to get any proof, but I found out most of the patients in her wing had, to varying degrees, memories of the same worldline. Many people had memories of Japan at war.
Can we see Fubuki?
They say they're doing an MRI to look at her brain right now, so she's not in her room.
I see.
But it'll be done soon. Fubuki's mom told us to wait here. Kaede motioned to Mayuri, indicating that she should sit down at a nearby sofa. Once the exam is done, she's going to come get us. I let the girls sit down on the sofa and stood next to them while I surveyed the lobby.
This is an amazing hospital, isn't it?
Yes. Is Nakase's family really rich or something, if she's staying at a place like this? No, that's not it. Fubuki's mom says that the Japanese and American governments are paying for a new treatment project. It's going to be centered around this lab and a dedicated hospital in America, supposedly. I see. Wasn't sure how I felt about that. If I was right about what this disease really was, it was hard to imagine a bigger waste of money.
Okabe! Apply the tinfoil!
This is what... Okay, on the one hand, he is objectively a healthier person. On the other hand...
He's so wrong, and his old self would have been so right.
You are the one person who is right about every conspiracy theory. Come on, man. You already suspect America is, I guess, involved with Amadeus to time machine research, right? That does take a leap. But he's already gotten to the point where they're like, oh, they're going after the computer that had Kurisu's stuff on it. It's not that big. You know what? I guess part of it is he really doesn't want to think about it.
Yep.
Right? Because if he does think, I can believe that.
Please, give all the patients private rooms and try to keep the rooms as far apart from one another as possible to ensure the patients don't come into contact. But there aren't that many open rooms. You need to do it anyway. If the patients talk to each other, they'll start to share the dreams, right? Sure, that's true, but once a person hears about someone else's dream, their brain can trick them into thinking they had that dream as well.
Across the lobby, I saw an old Japanese doctor in a white coat and a big man in a suit who was frantically trying to talk to him. Oh, I'd seen the man in the suit before. Actually, it was a man I knew well. Professor Leskinen. I hurried over. Dr. Leskinen, it's me, Okabe. Must have been wearing his translator because he was communicating with the old doctor in Japanese. Dr. Leskinen's face quickly broke into a smile when he saw me.
Oh, Rintaro.
His voice was so loud that everyone in the lobby, doctors, nurses, staff, and even the patients turned to look at me. But Dr. Leskinen didn't seem to notice them as he ran over. He was like a giant American football player racing for a touchdown. Huh? Wait, Professor, stop! My cries went unheard as Dr. Leskinen tackled me and then pulled me up. Then he switched from football player to pro wrestler and swung me up and down. Felt like I was a little child. There's nothing I could do to resist him as he flung me around. A moment later, he noticed the cold stares of the people around us and finally released me.
Oh my, I'm sorry. I was so surprised I got a little too excited.
Good thing this is good and normal. And if Okabe didn't know he was in Japan, then that means Maho hasn't told him that she was coming.
Yeah.
Which doesn't bode well for her, does it?
Really? Huh?
He was just talking with Amadeus. So not all lines of communication are cut, but Amadeus might not know about whatever's going on between Leskinen and Reyes.
Yeah.
Dr. Leskinen bowed to the people around him in apology.
Dr. Leskinen, who is this young man?
The doctor that Professor Leskinen had been talking to was staring at me suspiciously. Oh, well, wasn't sure exactly what to tell him. It wasn't like he was really my professor.
You seem to be a student. Which school are you with? If you're studying brain science like the professor...
Oh, no, I'm,
He'll be a student at Victor Condria this September. I'm planning on having him come to my lab.
Huh?
I see. Victor Condria University, eh? That's a surprise.
I looked over at Dr. Leskinen questioningly, but he just gave me a mischievous smile. This guy, he really was such a kid. Oh, so Okabe thinks he's lying to just smooth things over, right?
It's very rare for a Japanese student to be able to go there. I'm impressed.
It's really not, in specifically their neuroscience department. Actually, a non-trivial percentage. Thanks. After the doctor left, I sighed loudly enough for Professor Leskinen to hear me. So, who was that guy?
The director of this hospital.
Oh, the director? You just told a lie to someone that important?
Oh, did I lie? I said you'd be a student starting in September, but I didn't mean this September. Or what? Do you think you don't have what it takes to make it to my school in the end? That's a little unfortunate, but...
He really was like a little kid, completely shameless. But still, it was hard to hate him. I'm surprised, though. I had no idea you were in Japan. Been 5 months since I'd seen him off at Narita.
Maho's here too.
Oh, really? She didn't say a word about it. Talked to her often via email and video chat, mostly about Amadeus' testing, but she hadn't said a word about coming to Japan. I hadn't heard anything about it from Kurisu either.
We're back in the same office at Wako City. Come by any time you like, and bring Kurisu. I told them to find a different place after we got robbed last time, but...
Dr. Leskinen looked up toward the ceiling and shrugged. Did feel like that place had security issues.
Are you not feeling well, Intolo? Did you come here for treatment?
Oh, no. I'm here to visit a friend.
Oh, I see. That's good. Well, it's not good for your friend. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. So what are you doing at a Japanese hospital? Dr. Leskinen brought his face close to mine and whispered so the people around us couldn't hear him.
You've heard about the new encephalitis cases, right? The American government asked our psychophysiology lab to look into it, but they've hit a roadblock. The university ordered me to help with the investigation.
Oh, I see. So you're helping with the new encephalitis cases. Now, there was a word I didn't expect to hear. Explained that my friend was here because they thought she might have the disease.
No, Okabe! Is your friend named Katsumi Nakase, perhaps?
Oh, yeah, you met her at the Christmas party, didn't you? Oh, shit, sorry.
That's right. My interest in this new disease started with that party, you see. Both you and Katsumi collapsed, right?
He was right, actually. In my case, I'd been sent to that other worldline.
I met up with her again several days ago. She demanded to know why she was being sent back to the hospital when she was just fine.
I see.
Would you tell her it would make me happy if she was a bit more cooperative? I actually feel really bad for both her and all the other patients. We in the Japanese team are doing what we can, but we just don't understand the results we're getting.
Dr. Leskinen's usually chipper expression darkened. The man was such a ball of vitality that I hadn't noticed until then, but when his smile disappeared, I could see the wrinkles that formed on his face from exhaustion. He must have been working hard, like he said.
To be honest, none of the doctors thought we'd have this much trouble explaining it at the start.
Huh.
What's wrong, Lintolo?
Well.
Is there something wrong?
No. I'm not a medical student, so this is all outside my expertise. Just about to tell him about my reading Steiner, but in the end I couldn't. My uninformed opinion was wrong. It could cost the encephalitis patients their lives. To be fair, better that he didn't. I couldn't just tell him when I didn't have any proof. And then his face drew close to mine again.
By the way, Katsumi was saying something very interesting. She said something about not being sick, about how she was actually experiencing another world in her dreams.
I told her not to say anything about it. Could she not help it? This was bad. Might start to doubt her sanity. Well, Nakase's got a very vivid imagination, maybe? She does love sci-fi and anime. Well, I just said she has the power to experience parallel worlds because she saw it on some show somewhere. Just you wait. In about 5 years, isekai anime are going to take the world by storm. Won't be able to toss a stone without them. Remember, I used to say stuff like that. Try my best to come up with excuses, but Dr. Leskinen still seemed concerned.
But still, I was really surprised when I started participating in the treatment project. One of the strange things about this illness is that many patients share the same dreams. I'm assuming it's similar to a mass hallucination. But what do you think? I've never seen this before. From a brain science perspective, I just don't have an answer right now.
Huh.
To be honest, unscientific is the word that seems to best fit, like parallel worlds or memories of a past life, you know.
I see, yeah.
It would help if you talked to Katsumi too. There are some things you can't say to a doctor, but that you'll tell your friends.
Oh, sure. I'll ask her, I guess.
So, Rintaro, that aside, I have a question for you.
Dr. Leskinen was looking over my shoulder.
I got a sense of this at the Christmas party, but your girlfriends really are cute, aren't they?
Huh? I turned around and saw that Mayuri, Kaide, and Yuki had all stood up from the sofa and were looking at me. When they saw Dr. Leskinen was looking at them, they waved.
So, are any of those girls involved with you right now? Yuki, Kaide, Mayuri, Luka, or maybe Katsumi?
What? His words were so surprising I couldn't think of anything to say. Maho would often call this middle-aged man a mischievous boy, and that was exactly the look he had on his face.
No, I won't force you to tell me. I don't want to pry into your private life. But, well, I'd hope to have something to tell my favorite student.
I don't know how to tell you this, Okabe, but you're the protagonist of a harem game. Dr. Liskinen turned to walk away before I could figure out what he meant.
All right, Rintaro, I've got to talk to the director a little more, so I'll be going.
Okay.
I'd love to go around to all those girls and give them a hug too, but I'll save that for next time. Tell them I said hello.
Oh, sure, okay. Mayuri and the others came over to me as I watched him go.
Was that Dr. Leskinen?
Yeah, I knew I'd seen him somewhere before.
I thought he'd gone back to America.
Good thing Mayuri didn't hear that one name he said.
Yeah. Oh, Karim?
There was no way I could tell the girls what Dr. Leskinen and I were just talking about. After Fubuki's exam was over, we went to her room and listened to her complain, and then the visit was over. Just like Dr. Leskinen had said, she looked just fine. She told us she was ready to leave the hospital and jog all the way home. Mayuri and the others were relieved, but I felt worried. Did I need to talk to Dr. Leskinen about reading Steiner after all?
Don't!
But how would I explain that?
Don't!
Might be a
That's how!
Might be a better idea to talk to Maho and have her explain it to him. Although, from his perspective, he has nothing but trust for Leskinen at this point. He like, the pieces are there, and an Okabe of 1 year ago would absolutely be able to figure this out. But an Okabe who spent a full year trying to deprogram himself, and who is purposely trying to not connect some dots.
At the same time, he knows enough to tell Maho to shut up and stay not involved in things related to time travel. He knows enough to tell Nakase to shut up and not say what's going on actually with the encephalitis, but he doesn't know enough.
I think it's because he's in this case, he's seeing Leskinen in a position of power over an entire thing, and he's like, a whole bunch of universities are about to spend a whole bunch of money barking up the wrong tree. How can I explain, and like, how can I explain this in a way that, you know, without ever considering that that might be what they're doing? I couldn't come to an answer right away. Oh, hey! Suzuha in a vest.
Suzuha in a vest.
This is my Walmart greeter vest.
It was a very hot day in 1998 when Suzuha said goodbye to Kagari Shina. She'd gone to get food and water from a local store, and when she'd come back and opened the hatch, Kagari was inside, screaming. You took over Kagari, right?
Yeah. Oh, come on. How does this stupid thing work?
She looked inside and saw Kagari was slamming her tiny hands down on the control console.
What are you doing?
Kagari shrank back when she saw Suzuha.
I'm not. This isn't what it looks like.
Answer me.
But, I woke up and you were gone, and it was dark, and the lights wouldn't turn on, and it's so cramped and scary in here. So I tried to open the door. And then, when I was fiddling with it, this happened.
Kagari started to cry.
I'm sorry, Big Sis Suzuha. I'm sorry, but I was really scared.
I see.
Suzuha relaxed her guard. Kaguri had PTSD from her time as a war orphan, and she hadn't fully recovered yet. Mairi had once told her that she got very frightened in dark and cramped places. It would make sense if waking up in the dark caused a panic attack. And the time machine could only function with Suzuha's biometric authorization. Someone of Kaguri's size wouldn't be able to break the console either. You passed out from the shock of time travel, so I wanted to let you get some rest. I'm sorry. Suzuha grabbed one of Kaguri's tiny hands to help her up, and then led her outside the machine.
Wow, it's so hot.
Kaguri, promise me that you won't touch the switches on the control console no matter what, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to get started. You go and rest, have some food and water if you want. Suzuha handed Kaguri the provisions she'd brought, then went inside and poked her head into the cargo space under the control console. She connected the IBM 5100 she'd stored there to a portable terminal she'd brought from the future. By all appearances, it was an early 2000s cell phone, but inside was a miniaturized quantum computer from the year 2036. Of course, future Daru had made it himself. When she booted up the IBM 5100, rows of numbers started to appear on the screen.
What are you doing? Also, why does the time machine still need an IBM 5100 in it?
I don't know if it needs an IBM 50... Is it because they still need to hack into CERN to create mini black holes? No, that's for
Is
emails.
CERN still around in 2036 timeline? And
maybe it's not for that, but for encryption? Remember...
That's not a good reason, but I'll allow it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's an artifact from the way Daru made it, like...
Doesn't know how to build one that doesn't have an antique PC
like
in.
it is actually like unnecessary, but because they've been building it this way for a while, it's just kind of like...
It's just like the situation where, oh, well, I looked in this game's source files and there was a random JPEG of a coconut, but when I deleted it, the entire game crashed and wouldn't build anymore,
Yeah,
so I
exactly.
decided to leave it in. It's that thing.
Yeah, that's my best guess. Kaguri was looking in from outside the machine. Did you study the year 2000 problem?
I studied it a little at the orphanage. In the end, nothing happened, right?
That is what everyone thinks, yeah.
Huh?
It wasn't made public, but at the time, a lot of places and a lot of countries had serious problems because of it.
Really?
The issue was this computer, the IBM 5100. It's got an old programming language on it, and the engineers weren't able to fix the program. In fact, they didn't even know that an important program existed that was written in this language. The race to develop Time Machine was the beginning of the Third World War, but there's a chance that something that happened during the year 2000 problems and the divisions that resulted from that were a deeper cause.
Just dumping this on us, that there's been a secret Cold War over the year 2000 problem for 36 years before.
Fucking wow! All right. She didn't expect a 10-year-old like Kaguri to understand this, but she didn't feel like taking the time to explain.
I'm gonna need them to fill that one in a side story.
I'm gonna need that one, please. And the year 2000 is a special year. You see, all the world lines temporarily converge here. This means it's possible the year 2000 problem has a huge effect on all world lines. The world line in the gap that we're trying to reach, Steins Gate, is no exception. All the world lines converge at 2000?
Interesting. Why?
That's a new piece of information, too, to just kind of drop there. She looked down at the terminal connected to the IBM 5100. So this patch program to keep the year 2000 problem from... This is to keep the year 2000 problem from ever happening. Right now, the terminal was converting the patch into the language used by the IBM 5100. Oh, so it's because it's needed for this specific use case. Use to solve this specific problem. Okay, sure. The next step was to spread this program all around the world in the form of a virus. The year 2000 problems that this era's engineers missed would completely disappear. The word connect appeared on the terminal's subscreen. Okay, it's connected. Good thing it connects to literally everything. She'd been told that in Japan in this era, ADSL was still in the test phase and that most normal users connected to the internet by low-speed dial-up using ISDN. But in major city areas like Akihabara, universities, labs, and some big computer companies were starting to use fiber optic broadband. Some of them were even using wireless LANs. Susan had cracked her way into one of those. Dad had laughed when he'd said that with 2036 technology cracking late 20th century network security was a joke, but he'd been right.
But if you change the future, Won't that change the world we were in?
Surprisingly, Kaguri had gotten the gist of what Suzuha had just told her. That's right. I refuse to let that world exist any longer, so I've come here to reach Steins' gate. Suddenly, the uneasy look on Kaguri's face vanished, as if her soul had left its body. Suddenly, her face was expressionless and her eyes were wide.
Voice. I can hear God's voice.
Kaguri?
You can't do that. It's not right. You can't do that, big sis Suzuha. You can't.
Huh? You having a Joan of Arc face? What? Kaguri was acting strangely. Suspiciously, Suzuha reached her hand out towards her. But...
just doing as every healthy young girl does, having a brief phase of
hearing
God's voice 2 to 3 times per day, even. part of growing up.
Are you alright over there? Do you want to confess something? She slipped past Suzuha's hand, and quicker than any child should be able to move, she slammed her shoulder straight into Suzuha's body. Huh? Suzuha was caught completely off guard. That's how fast it was. Kaguri's shoulder hit her in the solar plexus. Ah!
Is there a lunar plexus?
No. She bent over and collapsed onto the seat. Kaguri tore the terminal out of Suzuha's hands. The cables connecting it to the IBM 5100 were ripped out and errors displayed on both screens. What are you doing? Kaguri didn't answer the question. Instead, she grabbed the backpack that Suzuha had placed on the seat and spilled its contents onto the floor. There were MREs, spare parts, clothes, and a semi-automatic pistol. Suzuha couldn't believe it. Kaguri was going to try and pick it up. Stop it! She forced herself to ignore the pain as she jumped on Kaguri's body. But another unbelievably powerful body slam knocked her back. Ah! Something cold was pushed right up against her brow.
Don't move.
Kaguri's tiny hands weren't shaking at all as they clutched the semi-automatic pistol. In the space of an instant, the safety on the gun had been flipped off. That's when Suzuha realized that this wasn't just a temper tantrum. Suzuha was the one who taught her how to use a gun. That's why she knew that Kaguri was perfectly calm. Are you insane? Put the gun down now! Stop doing this!
You're the one who needs to stop.
What?
You can't change the world. You're not making sense.
There was no hesitation in her eyes. Instead, Suzuha saw only resolve. Do you want the war to happen then?
I don't know anything about that. I just want to go back to my old world.
Then... that's never going to happen. We've already used the time machine to interfere with the past. The world line has changed. There's almost no chance we can go back.
Shut up. Shut up. I'm going to save Mommy. You can't erase this world. I won't let you.
Kaguri turned the gun towards the IBM 5100. Stop! Before Suzuha could stop her, she yanked down on the trigger. Again and again. Stop it, Kaguri! Please, stop! And then Kaguri jumped out of the time machine, and Suzuha never saw her again.
Damn.
So that explains how they got separated.
Yeah, that's one
Suzuha
way to
left
do
a
it.
lot of that out, hearing the voice of God and all that.
Yep.
I'm sure that's fine. Ugh. On every night that passed, she remembered Kaguri. Suzuha had spent some time looking for Kaguri when she'd first come to this era, but in the end, she'd never found anything. But Kaguri Shina, who was now 22 years old, was here in Akihabara. Suzuha was sure of it. But it did no good to keep thinking about it, so Suzuha decided to stop thinking and look around the room. Hitaru, her dad, was playing yet another game populated entirely with female characters. His jaw was slack, and he was scratching the belly fat that stuck out from under his shirt as he played. There wasn't much to respect in him right now, either as a father or as a person. Come to think of it, how are things with Mom? Is everything okay? I'm still going to be born, right?
Oh, well, is that more important than the time machine?
Hey! Suzuha stormed over to Hitaru. You can't screw this up, Dad!
Yeah, Daddy's gonna do his best, okay?
All you ever do is talk. You even wasted those movie tickets we gave to you, didn't you? She meant the pair of movie tickets that Mayuri and Ferris had conspired to give them at the Christmas party.
That was because Okarin and Ms. Fubuki collapsed, you know? We were so busy with hospital visits and stuff that the movie left the theater. It's not like it's my fault.
But I heard that when they tried to give you new tickets, you turned them down.
Who told you that?
Big Sis Mayu and Big Sis Rumi, obviously.
That's because, you know, it's not very manly to make those two do all the work, is it?
So did you go and do something yourself?
Ugh.
This isn't going to work.
Maybe this was a more important problem than the time machine. Suzuha brought her hands up to her head.
Listen, Dad, I'm not going to be around to lecture you like this forever, okay? I'm leaving soon.
Oh.
Suddenly, there was a sad look in Itaru's eyes.
Don't make that face. I promised I would stop worrying about it.
The past 6 months, Suzuha had been thinking about whether it was really right to erase this world, but in the end, it was none other than Itaru who pushed her to go ahead with it.
I'm sorry.
She couldn't bear to see her father so depressed, so she patted his broad back.
Don't just sit there and be glum. Send Mom a message and see if she's free sometime, okay? And if she is, invite her to a movie.
That's way too sudden.
I don't care if it's sudden or not. Do it anyway, alright? This is an order.
An order.
What's your answer?
Sir, yes, sir.
Satisfied, she headed off to take a shower.
Oh, but before that, I'm going to hit the convenience store. Don't glare at me like that. I'll eat as healthy as I can, so please forgive me.
Vanilla.
Huh?
I want ice cream when I'm done with my shower. Vanilla ice cream.
Okay, I'll go buy you a lot of really top shelf stuff.
It doesn't have to be a lot, just one thing is fine.
Sir, yes, sir.
That was enough to cheer Daru up. He took his wallet and ran out of the lab.
He is such a handful.
She had just about taken off her jacket so she could take that shower. But
Suzuha.
Itaru had come back into the lab.
What? What is it?
I found this on the stairs.
Itaru showed her a keychain he was holding. It was a round anime character whose color had faded to a smoky green. It was an Upa.
Do you know whose this is?
Big Sis Mayu's, probably?
She leaned forward to take a closer look and then felt like she was experiencing deja vu.
I've seen this Upa somewhere before.
She'd seen it before? She couldn't really remember when, but her internal alarms were going off. This keychain was extremely important. Upas were common enough that you could find them anywhere. The plastic edges had worn down, the paint was faded and coming off in places, but there was no dust, and there were no stains.
Want to see something you can't unsee?
Yeah.
Hide the text.
Yep.
Look at the angle of the reflection of the pig in the television.
I just saw that. That's so funny.
The perspective can't work
And the
like
television? I think they just kind of copied it, flipped it, and didn't think about it much further, huh?
Yeah.
Instead, it shone brightly as if its owner had put a lot of effort into taking care of it. The chain was so old that part of it had snapped off. That was probably how it got dropped.
Where was it? I've seen this before.
Did Mayushi show it to you?
I don't know.
She stared at the green Upa in Yataru's hands, and then in her mind, she heard a young girl's scream.
This is Mommy's Upa keychain. I'm giving it to you. Take good care of it, okay?
Ah!
She gasped. A feeling of indescribable terror raced down her spine.
This can't be. Hagaris?
That was when she'd last seen it, August 13th, 2036. The date she'd gone into the time machine. That's when she'd seen this Upa. It was an older, more worn now, but the more she remembered that day, the more certain she became this was the Upa that Mayuri had given to Kagari. She'd seen Kagari holding it and crying to herself many times before.
Kagari, you mean future Ms. Mayu's daughter?
Yeah.
Did you find her?
No, but she knows where I am.
What do you mean?
She's watching this lab. Satisfied, she headed off to take a shower. Ever since then, her careful efforts to defend the time machine had paid off, and she hadn't seen any sign of Kagari, but she'd never thought she'd be watching the lab. So, Suzuha thinks the motorcycle person was Kagari.
Yeah.
No, it would have been obvious if I'd given it any thought. She's trying to stop us from reaching Steins' gate. She doesn't want this world to end. Which means she's watching not just me, but you, too?
Huh? Me?
Well, I don't think your life is in danger. Probably. If you believe what we know about how worldlines work, you live till at least 2036. But she might come to interfere with your research, so we can't reach Steins' gate. A lot of bad things had been happening around Suzuha, Itaru, and Rintaro Okabe. There was some possibility that the final target was Itaru. From now on, just to be safe, lock the door whenever I'm not around.
Okay, got it.
Even if Uncle Ocarine, Mom, or Big Sis Mayu are here, don't leave it open. Might not help much, but make sure you use the door chain too.
You know, Ocarine and Mayushi are one thing, but if I did that when I was alone with Amaneshi, don't you think that'd give her the wrong idea?
Ugh, that's true.
If that makes her not like me, my whole family could be in trouble.
Okay. Ugh. Suzuha groaned softly, unsure of what to do. If I only gotten to be her boyfriend sooner, there wouldn't be a problem.
Wait, we're back to that?
Just be careful, okay? Suzuha decided to keep the green Upa keychain. She softly ran her fingertips over it as she stared at it.
Hey, Suzuha. Kagari-tan's not related to Mayushi, but she's still her daughter, right?
Right, that's right.
Could somebody raised by Mayushi grow up to be the kind of person who'd assault someone? I just can't imagine it from what you've told me. I'd expect her to be a kind, easygoing, and cute little girl.
I wish that was what had happened. Yeah, I thought that was how she'd turn out, too. But now she's probably... I don't know, she was a scared little child who started hearing the voice of God? From what she'd seen at the radio building, she could tell Kagari had definitely received professional combat training. It wasn't just the simple self-defense techniques that she'd learned from Suzuha when she was a child. As she'd grown up, she'd been taught the cold techniques of a killer. There was no way to know where she'd been or what she'd been doing, ever since she'd gone missing in 1998. But there was no doubt in Suzuha's mind that she was trying to ruin her plans.
Well, shit.
Suzuha sighed as she took her shower. Since it was summer, she'd set the water temperature low. It was barely hotter than tap water. As long as the water was pouring down on her, she could feel like all the bad memories were being washed away. She slapped her cheeks with both hands and turned off the water. The small tiled room suddenly became quiet. In the silence, she vigorously toweled off her hair. This building was never intended for anyone to live in. Not only was there very little room, there wasn't even a place to change. It was small and there were no windows, and the steam from the shower room built up, making it an unpleasant sauna in summer. Supposedly, Itaru and Okabe would sit naked next to the fans to get away from the heat and moisture. Of course, that was only when the girls as well Luca weren't around. Wait, didn't one of the linear-bounded phonogram stories depend on there being a window in the bathroom?
Yeah.
Continuity error. Continuity error! But Suzuha couldn't do that. There were those huge scars on her chest. If she was careless and Yuki saw them, she'd have a big problem. So she always forced herself to change within this small space. Huh? The second she left the shower room, she realized something was wrong. The lights were off in part behind the curtain where the lab room was. She was sure she'd left all the lab lights on when she'd gone to take a shower. She didn't remember turning them off. Still completely naked, she flung open the curtain. She dropped to the floor, ready to move. She could tell by the light from the shower room that there was no one else here. She didn't hear any breathing, and she didn't feel any other presence. Did Dad come back? And then when he left, he turned off the lights? No, that couldn't be right. She looked around the room and saw that things had been moved in a way that an amateur wouldn't be able to notice. Taro's computer desk, the sofa area, the bookshelves, even the mini kitchen, someone had gone through them all. From the look of it, the same was probably true of the development room. Suzuha glanced over all the areas where she kept her guns. Closest to the sofa. The closest was the sofa that she used as a bed. She wanted to have one easily available if she was attacked while she slept, so she had cut out the back of one of the sofa cushions, hidden a suppressed semi-automatic pistol in it. It was only a .32 caliber for self-defense, so it wouldn't do much damage unless you got good aim. But it was small and relatively quiet, which made it the best choice for a place like this. Suzuha tensed all of her muscles, coiling like a spring, and slowly moved towards the sofa without making a sound. As she did, she tried to notice any changes in the surrounding area. There was a small sound in the development room. It was a tiny creaking of the floor, to which you'd usually pay no mind, but that was more than enough for Suzuha. In an instant, she moved from quiet to action. She cleared the distance to the sofa in an instant and quickly drew her gun. She held it ready and slipped into the shadow of the refrigerator. From this position, she could barely see into the development room.
Familiar outfit.
Familiar outfit. The room became silent again. This time, the intruder in the other room didn't try to hide their presence. Try anything and I'll shoot. Hands on your head, come out slowly. Suzuha threatened the intruder in a low voice, but the intruder seemed completely unconcerned as they exposed themselves to Suzuha's gaze. You must be pretty hot wearing that in this weather. Why not at least take off your helmet? The intruder was wearing a motorcycle suit just like before. Even the helmet was the same. The leather suit clung to their skin, revealing a voluptuous and perfectly proportioned body. It was clearly a woman. What you're looking for isn't there. It's in my pocket. Suzuha pointed toward the entrance to the shower room. The shirt she'd just taken off was lying there on the floor. The girl in the motorcycle suit turned her head, but because the face mask was down, Suzuha couldn't read her expression. You should know better than to drop that. It's something that Mommy gave you after all. Right, Kagari? The second she spoke, Kagari Shina was the first to move. She drew a deglossed military knife that she must have been hiding behind her back and closed the gap between herself and Suzuha in an instant. Suzuha pointed the gun at her legs and pulled the trigger, carefully aiming away from her vitals. She heard the small pop of a suppressed .32 and saw Kagari lose her balance and fall. Or she thought she did, but it was a feint. Huh? She'd only pretended to lose her balance. In fact, she'd changed directions and was heading for the shower room. Her first goal was to get what she'd come for. Huh? After firing only one shot, Suzuha realized even a .32 should have more recoil than this. She fired again, but Kagari didn't even flinch for a moment. Blank? How? At some point, all the bullets in Suzuha's gun had been swapped with blanks. That instant's panic was all it took. Kagari reached up for the shirt on the floor in front of the shower room. No way! Suzuha gave up on firing and flung the gun at Kagari. Hell yeah! Still works for that. There was a dull thud as the hard barrel slammed into her neck. Caught off balance, she staggered before she could grab the shirt. Ugh. She could hear Kagari's voice for the first time from within the helmet. Suzuha jumped. So that should be no question then. If you also hear the voice and you're like, oh, I guess it's been like 20 years, like a long time though. She might be different. She kicked off the off-balance Kagari as hard as she could with her toned, muscled legs. This was no time to hold back.
That's a good sound effect.
Yeah. Kagari went flying all the way to the edge of the room. That had to have broken a few ribs. Suzuha jumped toward her to continue her attack. With terrifying speed, Kagari leapt off the ground and charged at Suzuha. There wasn't enough time to come to a full stop. A sharp blade swept by mere centimeters from her exposed abdomen. She'd pulled back even a few tenths of a second later, the knife would have fatally sliced open her gut. You bitch! The blood rushed to Suzuha's head. Kagari was serious. She was planning to kill her. There was no hesitation in her movements. Suzuha leaped back and searched for something she could use as a weapon, but the other guns were probably no different. A good chance they'd all had their ammo swapped with blanks, too. It's even possible all her self-defense knives had been taken as well, which left several knives carefully stored in the kitchen. Yuki had brought them over to use in teaching the other girls how to cook, but Kagari had evidently noticed them as well. She was moving to keep Suzuha from reaching them. Huh, looks like you've had a lot of practice. I don't believe you're the same girl who spent all her time sobbing inside the time machine. I'm impressed. As I kept her distance from Kaguri, she slowly moved along the wall, thinking the scene was going to end a while ago. But it's still gone on, and the episode is still running. Her competitive drive burned even brighter. She tried to come up with a way to overcome her disadvantage, wondering if this... it's going to be a little long. I'm sorry. Here, Kaguri. This is what you're after, right? She picked up her shirt from in front of the shower room and took the green keychain out of its pockets. What's wrong? Come get it. Her fingers moved as if to crush it. She could see Kaguri twitch. For the first time, she could detect a hint of emotion beyond the helmet. And in an instant, she threw it at Kaguri's stomach. The keychain flew in a slow arc like she was tossing it to a friend. Something they love was thrown like that, even the fiercest warrior would instinctively reach out both hands to grab it. Kaguri was no exception. She carefully held out her mother's memento in both her empty left hand and the right hand that still clutched the knife. Using the slow arc of the keychain as camouflage, Suzuha ran at her in a straight line. Her right fist connected hard with Kaguri's stomach. Then her left arm smashed Kaguri's head to the side. Kaguri's body fell to the ground, her right shoulder taking the brunt of the fall. Suzuha could hear the sound of her joint dislocating. The knife slipped from her grasp. Suzuha got behind her and mounted her, twisting her right arm... I forgot she was naked for this scene. At the same time, she slipped down her left arm around Kaguri's neck and squeezed hard. She could hear something like a moan from Kaguri's throat. Could both hear and feel the bones in her arm and neck creaking. Stay put. I'm not going to kill you. But Kaguri picked up the knife on the floor with her left hand and once again tried to use it on Suzuha. Suzuha was forced to squeeze her arm and neck even harder. Stop it, Kaguri. I understand how you feel now, but this is wrong. It's wrong. Kaguri didn't stop. If anything, she tried even harder to pull Suzuha away. What kind of training did she get? Even in all the battles she'd been in, this is much pressure on two different spots was enough to get even the toughest soldier to submit or fall unconscious. Terrified, Suzuha squeezed even harder. At this rate, she wouldn't simply knock her out. She really would kill Kaguri, but if she stopped, Kaguri would kill her. What should she do?
Makise Suzuha, it hurts. It hurts.
And then she heard a sad, weak voice from inside the helmet. It startled her, and she relaxed both her arms. But that was just what Kaguri had hoped for. The knife came very close to cutting Suzuha's left arm. When she let go to dodge it, Kaguri shook her off and kicked at her hips with both legs. Suzuha was slammed back hard into the computer desk, and for a moment she couldn't breathe. She fell onto the floor, and the printer and monitor crashed mercilessly into her naked body. She forced herself to stand up, gasping hard as she did so. Kaguri's breathing was heavy too. Her right arm was pointed at an impossible direction and hanging limp. She wouldn't be able to use it for a while, probably. But her left arm was still holding the knife. You've learned some dirty tricks, haven't you? Suzuha glared at Kaguri's face, now that she could see what it looked like behind the helmet. The two of them fell silent as they tried to catch their breath. Tension in the air was so thick it was difficult to move a muscle. Sweat rolled down her forehead and into her eyes, but she still didn't blink as she waited for Kaguri to make her next move. It was the sound of the front door opening that broke their stalemate.
Hey, Suzuha, did I just hear a loud noise?
Suzuha felt a chill run down her spine when she heard Ritaru's voice.
Oh, why is it so dark?
No, Dad, stay back! She yelled at the exact same instant he turned on the lights. The sudden brightness was enough to make Suzuha flinch for an instant. Kaguri was wearing a full face helmet, and that made all the difference. She leapt towards Ritaru just a moment before Suzuha.
Ugh!
Kaguri's black knife went up to his throat. Dad! Kaguri spun around behind him, using Ritaru's huge body as a shield. Suzuha staggered toward him, gritting her teeth. Let go, Kaguri. Lay one finger on Dad. And I don't care who you are, Kaguri. I will kill you. But Kaguri remained silent as she headed outside the door with her hostage. And then the next moment, she shoved him forward. Itaro lost his balance and fell towards Suzuha. Suzuha fell to the ground underneath his weight. Itaro just barely managed to support himself with his arms and legs to keep from crushing her. Move! Suzuha tried to shove him off, using a little more force than she may have intended, but Itaro was so huge it would take him a moment to get up. So I told you to lose weight.
What?
She was getting away. She somehow managed to crawl out from under him and quickly tried to follow after Kagari.
Suzuha, wear this.
Itaro was still lying on the ground as he tossed the naked Suzuha her shirt. She grabbed it and quickly put it on, then ran outside. But when she looked around the street, the girl in the motorcycle leathers wasn't there. No way to even know where she'd gone. She got away. Be dangerous to run around trying to find her now. There's a chance Itaro would be attacked while she wasn't at the lab.
Was that Kagari-tan?
Itaro came outside as well. Yeah, I'm almost certain. And because the scene went on way longer than I thought it would, we're going to save the denouement for next time. Bye, everyone.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.